Hello there, fellow Yamaha synthesizer lovers. In this video, we continue to explore the CasmEdit program. CasmEdit is a program that allows you to edit style files for Yamaha synthesizers. It doesn't do anything else. It only works with style files. It can read a style file, modify it, and save it under the same or a different name. It's also possible to create a new style from scratch using CasmEdit. Before we get started with the program, it is necessary to acquaint you with what a style file is. Here is a schematic representation of a style file. In a simplified way, there are three main parts to a style file. The first part, located at the beginning of the file, is a standard MIDI file that can be opened in any sequencer or digital audio workstation. MIDI, that is, Musical Instrument Digital Interface, is a standard of data exchange between digital musical instruments. The first part of the style corresponds to this MIDI standard and contains so-called MIDI messages. As an example, you can see this MIDI message. A timestamp and an event. A specific key on the synthesizer keyboard is pressed with a certain amount of force. This event starts the sound of a specific note of a specific musical instrument. Or another message. Timestamp and event. A specific key on the synthesizer keyboard is released with a specified amount of force. That is, that note stops sounding. And then there are a number of other MIDI messages that allow you to customize the internal structure of the MIDI sound synthesizer. Select musical instruments, customize effect, etc. The MIDI file also has non-sound related entries, such as text labels or tabs at certain time positions, etc. In the MIDI standard, and in this MIDI part of the style, there are 16 independent channels. In most cases, one channel is one separate musical instrument. That is, 16 different musical instruments can be played at the same time. In general, the MIDI part of the style contains the whole sound, or notation, part of the style, and without it the style doesn't exist. It is a necessary portion of the Yamaha synthesizer style file. And this part can also exist as a separate file. If you see a file with the MID extension, this is exactly the kind of MIDI file that is at the beginning of the style file. Generally, Yamaha synthesizers can even treat a separate MID file as a style file, but only if it's prepared in a certain way. We'll talk about that later. For now, you should know that MID files are the most common way to exchange synthesizer music. Let's try to search for MID file on the internet. Let's type MID files into Google. Let's just open the first link. Free MIDI files. Free MIDI files. Let's open MIDI World. MIDI World sounds great. You can already choose. I want, for example, Beatles. There's probably every Beatles song in there. Maybe even more than they wrote. I like Yesterday. Let's try to download it. And open this file. A program called Sonar is launching and opening this MID file of Yesterday. You can see that the authors of this file have made do with 5 MIDI channels. Here is the accompaniment rhythm guitar part. Here is the bass, cello, strings, and melody part. My synthesizer is connected to my computer via the MIDI interface, so we can listen to this downloaded file directly on Yamaha. This is what my good old PSR 740 sounds like. So, why do we need all those thousands of MIDI files? They're not styles. Yes, they are not styles. But you can turn any MIDI file into a Yamaha synthesizer style file with a little bit of work. Let's do one more experiment. Let's take a Yamaha synthesizer style file and simply change the STY extension to MID, because we know for sure that there is a MIDI file at the beginning of the style. How do you think this will work? I double click on the new MIDI file. Voila! The style opened up in the Sonar sequencer. Look how rich the style is. All 16 channels are used here. Please note these timestamps at the top of the editing window. They are in the form of flags with captions. Main A, Main B, Intro B, here's Ending B. Do these names remind you of anything? I'm sure you remember your synthesizer keyboard now and some of the buttons on it. Yes, those are just the parts of the style that are played when you press a certain main, intro, ending button. It should be said that with the help of these text timestamps, which are called markers, the MIDI file is divided into parts with the names main A, intro A, ending A, main B, etc. We got a little sidetracked from the main topic. Let's continue about the structure of our file. The MIDI part of the rhythm is a little bit sorted out. That is almost the entire sound part of the style. But just this sound part turned out to be not enough to describe the working algorithm of the automatic arranger inside your synthesizer. So the musical engineers at Yamaha came up with the second part of the style, which they called Chasm. It is not known what Chasm actually means. Most likely it is an abbreviation. For example, it could be Custom Arrangement Style Manager. There are no notes in this part. This part of the style file contains various additions to settings of how the synth arranger should use the MIDI data of the first part. That is, there is only control information for the auto arranger here. When you play a chord with your left hand on the synthesizer, the arranger recognizes that chord, looks up which part of the style you are using right now, for example main A, and then takes the MIDI data of that part and transposes it to appropriate pitch, and then sends it for playback. And for that you need to know at least the root chord of the original MIDI data, and you need to know it for each of the 16 channels. So this Chasm part of the style must contain the root chord of each MIDI channel and indicate if it is a major or minor, or maybe a seventh chord or something else. And also all of this should be set for each section in the MIDI part. By section I mean main A, main B, main C and others. Also, for example, if a channel has a drum part, it does not need to be transposed. So there must be some other transpose rules for channels. And they are different for drums, bass, guitar, etc. All of this and much more is contained in the Chasm part of the style. There are quite a few special settings. If you plan to become a style master, you'll have to understand these style settings somehow. Here, it should be said that CasmEdit is able to show all these settings and change them at your discretion. This is the main function of CasmEdit. It should be noted that officially the Chasm part of the style is what they call a black box. Yamaha does not feel it is necessary to disseminate the information about Chasm data. There's no publicly available standard. Therefore, everything that CasmEdit program does is based on the research of the enthusiasts who collected the information about what is contained in this Chasm part of the style file, byte by byte. It should be said that the most complete document describing the style file format created by enthusiasts you can find here. The link is in the description. You will find a lot of useful information in this document, especially if you're going to create good styles. Well, I should also definitely say that in this Chasm part, so far, there are parts that have not been solved. Maybe you can do that. One last subtlety regarding Chasm. Nothing is permanent. The first version of Chasm, created by Yamaha back in the 90s, is called Style File Format 1 or SFF1. Then Yamaha music engineers, wanting to improve the auto arranger, tried to make changes to the SFF1 format, changing it slightly. Small Chasm extensions arose that were inserted directly into SFF1 while trying to ensure compatibility with previous models. And then the accumulated changes led to a significant change in the Chasm section format. So a more modern Chasm format appeared, called Style File Format 2 or SFF2. That's what is used in modern Yamaha synthesizers. And while modern synthesizers understand both formats, or rather they automatically convert the old SFF1 format to the new SFF2 when you load a style, older synthesizers know nothing about SFF2 format. To load an SFF2 style into an older synthesizer, you must manually convert it to SFF1 format using CasmEdit or a similar program before loading it into the synthesizer. You can use CasmEdit to find out which format is supported by your particular synthesizer, old or new. Or you can search online for everything about your model. In general, the second part of the Chasm style is very important, and the quality style necessarily contains this part. And that leaves the third part of the style, which we will call the extra part of the style, probably because it is the least important part and you can do without it. What's in it? It's a variety of data of auxiliary nature. There is a special section of information designed for searching styles on the synthesizers. These are the fields of what is called a music database. There is information about the genre of music for which the style is intended, size, tempo, names of songs for which the style is suitable, etc. There's also an additional third part that has a one-touch OTS settings section. This is a quick selection of instruments and a quick adjustment of the sound synthesizer module so that your synthesizer sounds appropriate to the style. There are usually as many as 4 OTS settings, and there are also some other settings, not all of which are yet understood. To simplify, sometimes in CasmEdit we'll treat all of this third part as just some extra data. Although CasmEdit understands this third part, it even knows how to edit it. That's probably all you need to know about style files to finally get started with CasmEdit. In the next video, we'll get to the CasmEdit program itself and editing styles. Thank you for your attention.